Hello, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages. Welcome to another episode of Cocktails and Curveballs. I'm Jim. I'll be your host, joined by Ty, Patrick, and Lee, as always. Um, First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to thank our men and women in uniform in our armed services, especially at a time of uncertainty like we have right now with what's going on in the world. Thank you for suiting up every day and making sure that we're safe here in America. I'd also like to thank the men and women in blue, and first responders. Without you guys doing your job, America here, us in America, it would be less safe also. So here we go, guys. Who's got something? Big weekend, a lot of college football. We're down to our Final Four and playoffs. But hey, how about somebody start us and let us know what you're drinking?
Well, I'm drinking Mango Cart. It's one of my favorite beers. I just like that. I'm with Mango Cart, like Ty is with Bush Light. So drink that a lot. That's what I'm enjoying this Sunday. Lee, you said something earlier that really kind of piqued my interest. I want to go into this is really kind of a crazy year, the postseason in baseball. Man, I don't know that we've ever seen so many highly favored teams go down and go down quick and go down hard. Like not even really show much. It weren't like several of the games weren't even competitive. We haven't really seen this before. And you said something about the long layoff. You thought, because there was several days in between some of these teams, that were heavily favored. It was a long time.
Yeah.
They had a long layoff. So
Well, it was like it was the Braves and the Orioles and the Dodgers in particular. Those
yes.
three had 4 and 5 days before of no baseball. Yeah, you can do your bullpen and you can take batting practice and you can do those things, but it's not games. And the weird part is every single one of those teams got clobbered, man. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that has done the research, for MLB or whatever. But it just seems like, look at what happened to Kershaw. You got 5 days off and you get dumped in the first inning. We talked about it before. It just seems to me that layoff hurts, especially when you're at the end of the season and you're going into the playoffs. You look at what the Diamondbacks did. They're not that great of a hitting team, but look at what they did when they got there. I mean, seriously, I don't know, man. I brought that up because it's like, I feel like that rest.
Well,
First of all, look what
can I
Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman did. Freeman.
What I saw was like combined 1 for 26 with one infield hit, which is just those two guys. They're stars in this league. For them to do that is bananas. But the only other thing I would say, Lee, is that there have been incidents where where a team is able to reset their rotation, get their ace going in the next series because they had that long layoff. So we have seen situations where that long layoff will help teams. But in this particular situation, I don't think any other team was dealing with that. It's just a little odd to me, Jim, that so many big teams went down as hard as they did. I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, I'm going to go back to, and we've talked about this before also, I'm going to go back to the Yankees and the Mariners winning the 115, 116 games, go down in the first round. I think that maybe there's a little more than the layoff. I think maybe there is an emotional letdown, a hangover, if you will. Just having such a great season, winning all these games and you get into the playoffs and I don't know, maybe just a bit of a layoff. And we've said it a million times on here. It's who's playing best now.
Right.
And I think, man, you look at the Phillies, all the power in that lineup, and it's all showing up at one time. Nick Castellanos, my God.
Yeah. This is exactly what happened last year. The same damn thing happened and they won the World Series. It could happen again, man. Because I think they're gonna roll the D-backs. I do think the Rangers and the Astros is going to be a tough series because Rangers are getting Max Scherzer back. He's activated. Gray's back. I honestly think that series that's going to be a long series, but I don't see the D-backs really putting much up against Philly. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So the D-backs have that young pitching, man, and you just
do.
you just don't know that. Yeah, I on paper, I also called the Braves and the Orioles both
Yeah.
on, and so I don't know. I'd like to say the Phillies right now are in the driver's seat for sure.
Ty, so do you have any problems with Harper staring down Arcia two trips in a row? Do you have any problem with that?
Not at all, man. I love it. I love it. But I mean, if anybody listens to our last podcast, you know how we feel about Bryce Harper.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like he seems like the ultimate tough guy. He seems like if is it Arcia? Is that his name?
Arcia, yep.
If he
Arcia, yeah.
said if Bryce Harper was doing what he did and Arcia would have said something, Bryce Harper might have stopped in the base pass and started. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's maybe.
Yeah.
But don't you guys think this has something to do with Harper being doubled off? And what was that, game 1?
That's the whole reason. No, that is exactly what
that
happened.
is the reason.
That's
right?
exactly what happened.
And
that Arcia, he heard that Arcia was saying something about him.
Laughing. No, he was laughing. He was laughing hysterically about Harper getting thrown out there.
Saying attaboy, yeah, saying like attaboy to him.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few guys in the major leagues. We talked about this, right? There's a few guys in this league, and you can go sport to sport. Football's the same way. You don't give these superstars any more motivation. Like there was already going to be if you follow Bryce Harper at all, nobody took that harder than himself. So he was already going to come out a ball of fire in the next game. But now you go and mock him and laugh at him and talk and run your mouth. I mean, he might have hit 2 home runs anyways. But
the Bryce Harper but the Bryce Harper stare down, that was epic because I watched that a bunch of times. But it reminded me of The Rock.
Yeah.
in the WWE, just staring somebody down like, I am gonna fuck you up.
And just to be clear,
actually, Tyler, you said it. I think it would have been one of those things that had he said anything, I think it'd have been on. I think Harper would have been like, okay,
but I think Arcia, you know what? I actually have a lot more respect for Arcia because he did what he did, right? Yeah. And then Bryce Harper did what he did, and I think Arcia went, you just went, okay, well, I got you, motherfucker. Yeah, okay, that's just a get back. You're just getting back at me. So I think I have a lot of respect for him. I got a question real quick about just baseball playoff format. Does the short series hurt? Obviously, it hurt some of these best teams, right? Or what we would call the best team via the regular season. But like a 5-game series in the divisional round, how much of a factor do you guys think that plays into, like, they lose game 1, a team that's had a layoff loses game 1 right away, right? And now, oh shit, we got to win 3 of the next 4. That's hard to do in a regular season, to win 3 of 4, let alone sweep a series. So I'm just curious. I mean, I don't know that it does or it doesn't, but if these teams came into the series knowing that 7 games, most of the time you're going to get the best team, So I'm just curious. I'm not saying it's a broken system by any means.
I don't think
you got to win. You got to be the best. If you want to be the best, then you fucking run through everybody. You beat everybody.
And in spite of what went down this year, I'm still going to say there's a pie chart somewhere that shows the better team typically wins. This year, so if you played this postseason back 10 times, 8 of those times, those big teams are going to advance. They're going to, man.
Yeah.
So, and you talk about a short series, I don't think it is a disadvantage. I'd like to get Jim's take because I feel like he probably feels the way I do. But I feel like in a short series, those better teams, they have a legitimate 1 and 2 ace. Some have 3 aces. So when you're running those 3 guys out there, or at least 2 in a short series, that might be a series right there, man. That might be the end of the series. And that couple,
that's best case scenario, right? Like that's best case scenario for these good teams is that.
but they're going to be at home though, Ty. Right? They're going to be starting off.
Yeah,
at
no,
home.
I agree. I agree. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
see the whole picture of like.
Yeah, I just think this year was just.
That's
This year
what
was kind of an
every team
anomaly.
hopes. Every team hopes in a short series that they at least have 1 and 2 guys. 2 guys. Every team hopes they have 2 guys that they can go out and get 2 right away.
Right.
Right. And in a short series, you're going to probably see those 2 guys again.
Right. Absolutely.
So I get what you're saying, but like if you have 7 games instead of anything, that's what's so crazy about baseball, and we've talked about this a ton, right? That the major leagues have been around for like 140 years or something, and there's still new shit happening.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It really is wild.
The short series, I think the big play on that one is going to be how the manager and the coach basically sets it up. I mean, if you want to save aces and you want to save arms and you don't want to push a lot of innings, do they pull that starter if they get a lead early? And then I've seen it where they lose that game. I mean, it's tough, but short series or whatever. I mean, you eventually the best team should win, even in 5. You know what I mean? But anything can happen, man.
A guy once told me a hungry dog fights best. Right?
Hungry dog fights best.
So does that play?
That sounds like something Jim would say.
A guy that I know named Jim once told me. Yeah. And right though, I mean, does that? It's hard to quantify because if anybody would have saw the Braves, if the Braves would have rolled through the whole playoffs, won the World Series, it wouldn't even have been a thought about does the short series hurt, or does how any of this, you know what I mean? So it's
you're like, oh, they're the best team.
Yeah, it's a weird situation that the top 5 winningest teams from the regular season get knocked out before they are even in the championship series. Like it's odd for sure, but baseball's crazy, right?
It is.
It's simple.
Okay, so
guys, it's a case of a lot of times it's a case of simple math. I mean, if you can steal a series, so you're right, you get the highest seeded team is home to start out in a 5-game series. You steal a game, 1 game there, then at the very least, you're going home.
You're coming back home.
Too.
Yeah.
That could win the series, or you split the series at home. Now you're at game 5. You might be back at theirs, but you guys know game 5s, game 7s, anything can happen.
Anybody's game.
Well, imagine the momentum after in game 1 against the Dodgers, you completely thump and knock out their ace, Clayton Kershaw. I mean, come on. That's got to be huge. So then you're jacked up. You're like, we can beat these guys. We just took down their ace. And then momentum's
jacked
huge.
Up, jacked off.
But
you guys want to get into college football? You guys want to get into college football?
Hell yeah.
That's where I was just heading. Let's go. Let's baseball, they're not even starting yet, the championship series. So let's see how that kind of weeds out for everybody. But college football, man. 7 and 8 played yesterday, and
good game. Good game.
Okay, Jim. Hey, so did that look more to you like a Big 10 football game, or a Pac-12 football game?
Oh yeah, it looked more like a Big 10 football.
It looked like a Big 10 game, right? That's when I was watching it. All I could think is that anybody like I've said it on here before, right? The Pac-12 getting dismantled hurts.
Oh yeah,
for a guy that just like that's more so than anything is what I watched for a football conference than any of the other conferences. West Coast guy, right? Yeah. But to see 7 and 8, who by all accounts from everything I've seen, holy shit, they look like the 7th and 8th best team.
They did.
That was a dog fight. That wasn't your gimmicky neon green duck, 4 verts, everything down the field football. That was good. The running game, both teams, great.
That was a battle.
Punch you in the fucking mouth. Like that was not a Pac-12 game. So on that note, UW, the University of Washington, the University of Oregon, University of Southern California, and the University of California, Los Angeles all go into the Big 12 next season. Those 4 teams, how, as a college football fan, as a fan of the Pac-12, obviously I'm going to be a fan of the Big 12 now, or Big 10, or whatever the fuck they're, Big 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay, can we get some sort of a matchup that is Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State versus UW or an Oregon or a USC? Like, that's gonna be so telling. That's gonna be so telling of how the future of that conference is.
With the way those teams are playing that are going into the Big Ten next year, and even though that the SEC gets Oklahoma and Texas,
Yeah.
guys, I'm telling you, I'm looking at the schedules next year. I'm looking at Ohio State having to play Penn State, Michigan, UCLA, UW, Oregon,
That is going to be a
and
stacked schedule, man.
Dude, you make it through that schedule. Whoever
You might, yeah,
that schedule,
yeah,
whether it's
yes.
Michigan or whatever, you make it through that schedule. If you're somewhat healthy, are you not? You've got to be the number 1 team in the nation.
You have to be.
Can't you
You
see
have
though where that
To
would
run the-
totally
to run that
completely
gauntlet?
disrupt
That's going to be a
disrupt the
tremendous
playoffs.
schedule.
Think
Dude,
of how the amount. You know how hard it's
run
going to be
that
to win those
gauntlet?
games. That will completely dictate how the playoffs are going to look. I mean, because the power in just those games alone and that schedule, how do you get through that, and how do you get all those wins?
They're loading up. It's loading up to look like it's going to be a Big 10 versus SEC. Does that turn into the AFC, NFC of college? You know what I mean?
College
Like,
level, it very well
dude,
could be.
the Big Ten's trying to load up too. And for anybody that watched that game yesterday, the UW Oregon game, that looked as much like a Big Ten or a fucking, smash them in the mouth football SEC game as you could hope for.
So can I ask? And I know I'm probably kicking a dead mule, but
Wouldn't be the first time, Patrick.
yeah, well, it's
I'm
not going
kidding,
to
I'm
be the
kidding.
last time either. So, but listen, you got 2 evenly matched teams. Like you said, Ty, it was just a stand in the middle of the rig, trade punches, right? Oregon and Washington.
It's Ollie Frazier, man. It was
Jim,
crazy.
Yeah. So, Jim, when I feel like 100% of the time, when you've got points sitting on your plate, you got to take the points. I don't know what Dan Lanning was doing, going for 4. I mean, 2 of them. So they lost by field goal, and they could have put another 6 points on the board. I don't know, if you're playing, a much lesser team, and you want to whatever, fine. Or if you're down by a couple touchdowns, and that's one thing. But man, the score was close. You're playing against a team that's really, really good. You guys are trading punches. You got to take points every single time, don't you?
I would think so. But, I can kind of see Coach Lanning's – I can kind of see his thinking, because this is going to be a shootout. This is going to be – you're not going to probably stop, although I thought Oregon's defense was a lot better than what they showed yesterday, which speaks volumes about Washington's offense.
Yeah. Yep.
But I just don't think, I can see his way of thinking. On the other hand, woulda, shoulda, coulda, 3 times, right?
4 times.
Went for it on 4th.
Yeah. And
the first one in the first half,
but there was only 3 that he could have really kicked the field goal.
Correct.
Because the last one was on the 47 of Washington, which would have made it a 63, 64-yard field goal.
But 2 of them were gimmies. 2 of them were gimmies.
Right.
2 of them were in the first half. That was a chip shot, and that 3 points would have been easy, and they didn't get it. Second half, there's another chip shot he went for, it didn't get it, and he losing by 3. I mean, you've got to understand, people are really questioning him as a coach. I don't know that that's going to affect
do you think that,
the seed
do you
he's
guys
in.
think that fucked with the Oregon's kicker at the end? That was like, dude, just let me go get the points. And they didn't let him, and then went, okay, now go get us the points. Push.
Yeah.
Push.
Yeah.
But
It is hard because
like I said,
How about
when you're a
Michael
top 10
Penix?
team-
Dude, Michael Penix Jr., baller. I
Yep.
said
Hey,
it. I
after
said it on the line. I
yesterday-
said it. Yeah, I said it before,
Yeah,
but
Penix Jr.
dude,
Penix Jr.'s Heisman stock went way up. Caleb Williams came down a little bit with the 3
Oh,
picks.
it went way down, like 22
Yeah.
to 1 now.
Yeah.
I don't know that
He was-
anyone's going to walk away from him because of that
Especially in
game,
a
but
big
it
game
was
like that.
terrible.
In a big game like that, like you got to show up, man. You got to show up.
By
in
the
a
way,
big-
I'm going to tell you what I was drinking because I'm done, and this was the last one I had. And I think Tyler, from what I'm seeing, you're with Old Trusty again. I think this is actually a butterscotch oatmeal stout out of Helena. It's 6.3%, really dark, really heavy, but it's kind of chilly this morning, so that was actually really good. And now, because I'm out of that, I have gone to the Mountains Are Blue, just to honor the majestic Lion himself, because that's my backup. So anyway, Tyler, you on Old Trusty?
yeah. So yes, of course I am. But I would also, maybe that's a good segue. I don't even know, of me drinking Old Trusty. And how about your team playing the freaking London game? My
Oh,
favorite
shit.
team. So Foggy London Town, right? We all know where that's. Big Ben, not your Big Ben,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
whatever. The bridge is falling down.
London Bridge.
NFL games across the pond, right? Motherfucker, my time, that shit starts early.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And if
Yeah,
it's
what, like
your
6
te-
your
and if
time,
it's
6 in
your
the
team
morning?
playing, and if it's your team playing, a 6:30 start means I got to get my day going much earlier than that.
You got to start the Bush Lights at like 4:30.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. But I got to get up and I got to do things that I do in the morning very early.
Yeah.
For a Sunday, usually, the NFL kicks off on the West Coast at 10.
Right.
Right. They play in London. That's a 6:30 start on the West Coast.
7:30 for us.
So
7:30
Baltimore
for you guys, right? So
Baltimore
exactly,
did-
yeah. What I'm saying, Baltimore kicked off at 6:30, and I had a Busch Light in my hand at 6 this morning.
Nice. Well
Nothing
done.
wrong
I had to
with
take
that,
I took a
man.
shower
Nothing wrong
before
with
the
that.
game. I had a shower
But
beer before
that's
the
when
game.
you have a shower beer, man. Cold
I
beer
had
and
a
a hot
shower
shower.
beer.
There's
Exactly.
nothing better.
That's exactly right.
Nothing better.
Yeah.
So
No,
Baltimore,
did you guys hear that the NFL is that they've already been talking about potentially having a Super Bowl in London?
I mean,
can you pull that off? How can you pull that off? This is our sport.
That's fucking rude, if nothing else. You know what else
Thank
I
you.
saw? I
How
saw
can you
something
pull
funny
that
I saw something funny on the internet that was talking about how when like the NFL, for example, right? They play a game over in the UK or in England, London, right? So they play the American national anthem prior to the game, which is just talking about us beating England's ass, really.
Pretty much,
right?
Double
So
middle
they do
fingers.
that, and then we call it football, which they came up with. But we're playing football in England, where their football is something different. It's just it's crazy that they're so accepting. They're so accepting, right? They're just taking it.
Guys, it's bullshit. All the players are coming out now saying that the field sucks. It's hard. It's tight. There's going to be injuries. Now you're talking about doing the Super Bowl there. Why? Because if your favorite team's in there, now you got to fly to fucking London with Super Bowl tickets.
Well, it's got to be, Jim. We've talked about it before. It's got to be.
What are they going to make him play the game at 3 a.m? So it's
Or
good
are you
time
just
when
going to
they
count?
stay?
Are you just going to count on the English crowd, the European crowd, to pack the stadium like it would be here? The tailgates, all that shit.
I agree.
On,
Make no mistake. Make no mistake. If the NFL can find a way to turn this into some enormous profit, they're going to do it in a second, man. It is 100% about money.
They want to expand to London. They want a team there. Make no mistake.
But they're not going to take a loss in the Super Bowl, Lee. I mean, they're not going to move the Super Bowl to London if they're going to lose money. They're going to have to. It's going to have to be.
They didn't say that they were going to, but they've been talking about it, and I think it would be an absolute travesty, and there'd be a lot of pissed off people. There
would.
I would be.
So I seen that Baltimore just beat Tennessee. Is Tennessee still running? Who's that? Are they still running Tannehill out there? Is he still their quarterback?
Yeah,
he's still the quarterback.
really bad. He looked like shit.
Did he? I'm sure. Well, Wash,
He
rinse,
looked
and
like
repeat.
shit, dude. Yeah, he
Well,
looked really, really bad.
They tried to draft his replacement last year. Who's that? That Malik
Willis.
Malik
Willis,
Willis.
there you go. Yep.
They
Yeah, he
tried to
looked like
draft
shit
his
too.
replacement
Tannehill got
last
hurt.
year. Yeah, and then he played like shit when Tannehill.
Yeah, he looked
got
like
hurt.
shit too.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's crazy that the Ravens still didn't win by 40.
Tennessee is just kind of, man, I feel bad for Mike Vrabel because I really like him as a coach, but they're just kind of stale to me. It's just kind of they're just there.
Just
So
mediocre.
They
Show up.
showed Tennessee's offense, like they do pregame, and you were like, yeah, no wonder. Like, who the fuck? DeAndre Hopkins looks old, man. I mean, plain and simple. A guy that was considered to be, I don't know how you guys feel, probably the number one receiver in the league, at least for 1
Just a
year.
couple-
He caught
years.
everything. The guy had hands. He
Years
caught
ago,
everything.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
recently, just a few years
Yes.
ago,
Yes.
he was. I mean, he was top
Undeniably a top 5 receiver.
Yeah,
Looks
absolutely.
old,
1000%.
dude. He got old fast. He got old like fucking fast.
He did.
Yeah, and it's sad to see, especially a player of that caliber. Maybe it has something to do with that organization, though. I mean, I like Vrabel too, Jimmy. I think he's a great coach, but
Derrick
there's got to be
Henry's a
some kind
monster.
of, there's got to be an infusion of something to jumpstart a team, and I don't know what it is for Tennessee. It's not Tannehill; they need to move on from him.
Well, Derrick Henry is.
Well, they're
he's
trying.
old
Derrick
as
Henry,
shit for a running back.
dude, he's still a monster though.
I know, but he's taking a beating. And then you got Hopkins and you got Tannehill. So if you're looking at your big three, which is football, right?
That's it right there.
Everybody's looking for that big three. If you're looking at your big three, if you're in Tennessee, you're kind of going, you fucking kidding me? This is what we got,
Right?
This is our best.
And I'm a Tannehill fan. I
like what he's done.
The man has fought through adversity and everybody telling him he can't do this and can't do that. Receiver in college, and here he's been an NFL quarterback. He's made a career of being an NFL quarterback.
Fuck yeah,
So I'm a Tannehill fan, but at the same time, man, the league is moving on without you, Tennessee.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It just is. It's moving on without you. These young guys that are just tearing up the league, and you're right. That was a good way to put that. Is that Tennessee needs an infusion of something.
Don't know what, man, but
just something. I don't know.
Something that'll jumpstart them, like and
But
change
that
the
was
culture a
why
little
they
bit.
drafted. That's why they drafted that Malik Willis. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like that's because he
Tennessee-
had a little bit of that. He had a little bit of that in his game, and then right behind him, drafted Will Levis this year. And you're like,
Right.
you're like, do we have faith? Because if not, then what the fuck did we just do there? Why did we just do that?
Tennessee is a season. Tennessee is a season or two, in my opinion. They're a season or two away from just being shitty for 5 years and going through the draft. They're going to be another Carolina here in another year or two.
Yep.
I mean,
if they don't trade Derrick
right
Henry, then there's
for what? But
then
what
what are you doing?
Ty, what do you imagine a team would give up for Derrick Henry? A third? Maybe
If someone's in a playoff run situation, they'd give up some draft capital. I don't know that they'd go second, but
I think you're right. Somebody in the playoff and your number one back goes down and Derrick Henry's out there. I say you run with them.
You will give up a second round or something.
What would you imagine he would fetch you? Maybe a third?
I don't know.
Who? Derrick Henry?
It has to be the right situation.
Yeah. Derrick Henry's going to get you. I guarantee if they put him out right now, I bet they would get at least a second round. I don't know. Actually, you know what though? I can't guarantee. I don't know what his contract looks like right now.
He's beat up. He's older.
Dude, he looks fucking good. You say what you want about him.
I'm not disputing that, but the devaluation of running backs, coupled with the fact that he's just been taking a beaten for 3 years and he's older, he's on the tail end of his career. Dude, if a team gave up a second round pick, I would be absolutely astounded. I would be astounded. I think he would go
it's
third.
going to have to be how desperate is that team.
Right.
Agreed.
I mean, like I said,
if it's a team on a playoff run,
what if you got
and they can get him?
You got the Eagles. DeAndre Swift gets hurt. Yeah, you still got Gainwell and
I mean, I could see something like that.
Scott, but something
could
like
see
that, and you're like, okay, we're a Super
And-
Bowl
and-
team
and to
right
be
now.
clear-
We just need a running back.
And to be
Pull
clear,
the
he is a bell cow back. He is a bell cow. I mean, he's a guy that can just take the rock 30 times a game, man. That's kind of running back he is. Speaking of fire sale, I want to get you guys' idea. I was just thinking the other day, and there's been rumors about it, but nobody's really come out and said anything. How close to the Denver Broncos to just be saying, make us an offer for anything we have? How close to
I
the
got a
Broncos?
question. My bigger question is: does Russell Wilson finish this year as a Bronco?
That's a great question, man.
I'm serious though. I mean,
I think
he's the only thing that might get you some draft capital.
Guys,
but
I'm going to tell you something.
But the way he's played, though, what is he going to get, though, Lee? What is Russell Wilson
I
going
don't
to get?
know.
And you can't. I have this argument with actual Denver Bronco fans, and they're ready to give up on everybody and fuck them and fuck this and everything else. And I'm like, wait a minute. The man doesn't have 2 goddamn seconds. He's already in the shotgun. He takes a 2-step drop and he's ducking a goddamn edge rusher.
I agree.
The offensive line, you know what? These fuckers, these offensive linemen that are bitching, oh, I've been here for 7 years. I'm just tired of losing. Well, you know what, motherfucker? Start blocking.
Play better.
My language. But Garrett Bowles,
No, I like it when you get
Bowles,
fired
give
up.
me a goddamn break. For you to be saying that when you're leading the league in holding penalties and everything else.
3 snap penalties.
How about you fire up your unit
Yeah.
and give the man some time?
Right.
Sean Payton will fix this, guys. I promise you, he's going to go after. They don't have a lot of draft capital.
That's the thing, though. See, like I said, I'm not saying that I would agree to get rid of Russell Wilson. I think you have to save him. That's going to be your future. But I'm going to tell you right now, with everything that's going on in Colorado and around the league, I mean, maybe Russell Wilson goes, fuck this. I'm not having fun. I mean, there's going to have to be some come to Jesus moments within that organization.
I agree.
And players like to play for Sean Payton, and this offseason.
Oh, absolutely, they do.
This offseason, the free agents and the veteran offensive linemen and stuff. You watch. I honestly, I think Sean Payton's going to fix this thing. You give Russell Wilson some time. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, start running fucking routes. You know, where you can.
Judy's looked like
telling
shit.
Me, Jerry Jeudy, you can't separate yourself from anybody.
No,
anybody.
Right.
Jerry Jeudy has looked like shit.
Then talk shit about it. You know, Jim, I'm not
about it. That's right.
I'm not disagreeing with you, and I agree with you. This is not me going after Russell Wilson. This is what I'm going to say. Because they gave up all their draft capital to get Russell Wilson, because the cupboards are bare, they don't have the ability, at least not right now, to go out and get quality, you know, to make Russell Wilson actually be an asset on your team. I mean, under normal circumstances, I would say I would agree with you 100%. Keep Russell Wilson. I mean, he's the one guy that you could actually build around. But because there's no assets. They're just getting the man killed. I almost feel like Denver would be better served to dangle Russell Wilson to go into a full rebuild. By the time they're able to put the guys in front of Russell Wilson to make a difference, to get him some time. They're going to need at least one more receiver. They're going to need a running back. They're going to need.
I think if you do that, you set that franchise back 7 to 10 years. If you dumped everything to get Wilson and then you got rid of him,
yeah, but you're not. What are you going to get back from a man that's not playing well and has a contract like
that's huge?
I know, and I'm not saying that's the right choice. I just right now they're in a tough spot, man. I mean, they don't have a lot of draft capital, like you said. They've got I think Russell Wilson. I don't think he's lost anything. I think that in spite of how bad it is for him, there's some games where he's really played well. I just feel like, and we knew this going in, Denver last year was not great. They gave up a lot to bring in this quarterback. They were a lot further away from contention than one good quarterback. Right. Now they're even further because now they got one good quarterback and he's standing in a waist deep in a pool of shit. So how do you fix that? I don't know, man. I think they just got to be really I think they have got to nail every draft for the next 3 years. Like every pick's got to do something.
Well,
Does the term?
I think
does
they're
the
gonna have to
term-
live in free
Does the
agency.
term hangover mean more to people like us? Like we
Yes.
talked about earlier about it being like, is this Super Bowl hangover? Is it the World Series hangover? Like I feel like not everybody in the world understands what that means.
I understand it on the regular. What a
And you're
hangover
like,
is.
no, yeah, I get it.
Listen, I bought stock in Advil for that reason because I tend to drink a little more beer than I should.
Nice.
So yeah, no, I'm down with the hangovers are good. I know how to treat them. I don't know that there's a real solution for a hangover other than water and ibuprofen, but
And
Unless you
rest, sleep. You know, me and Jim back in the day, really aging myself here. But back in the day, me and my brother's Jim. God, I can't even speak today. Me and Jim's solution to trying to get rid of a hangover as soon as humanly possible was to go through Burger Master and get a ramp burger or two of them,
ugh,
and just to give the listeners an idea of what a ramp burger was, they would, you'd get your burger in a piece of a yellow wax paper, and that fucking thing would be saturated when you got to you. I mean, just full of grease, right?
fucking love that shit. Burger Master was bomb.
Get like a bucket size container of Coke, and some greasy fries.
Damn, that's a lot of Coke, bud.
Hey, I got to be
Onion
real.
rings could grease your
Bucket size
car,
of Coke?
man. Do you remember the
I'm
onion
telling
rings?
you, man. By the time you throw that burger or two down your throat and eat those fries and drink that Coke, I feel like we went to happy hour right from there, didn't we? I mean, we were ready to go again, man. Yeah,
pretty much. And it was the onion rings too. Get them greasy,
Oh,
just
yeah.
dripping through the damn tray.
Goddamn
The
right.
onion rings, and there might be a pit stop at
Yeah.
home before we headed up. But that was all part of. Hey, that's all part of getting rid of it, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, big time. Big time.
Felt like $1 million, and
Yeah.
let's do it again.
Yeah.
When I was a
Speaking of,
hey,
fellas.
now this is also dating, but Burger Master back in the day when I was a kid, my grandpa he lived up in Lincoln. He'd come to town, and he always wanted to have Burger Master, but there was a Burger Master attached to a bar called Jolly Jack's over on the west side. So my grandpa would take me there all the time just so he could drink beer and have a burger and get me that food too. That stuff was bomb. That's really good hangover food. Tyler probably goes to any 7-Eleven nearby and handles his hangovers.
Nope, actually, I just don't get hungover. So
Yeah,
I don't have to worry about it.
Speaking of this topic, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. The sight of even faking it with a Coors Light about made me puke this morning. So,
oh shit, there's your hangover.
The mountains are green.
Oh, from the Maverick. Mavericks are cool. Maverick is a good. Yeah.
Wait a second. Did you tie one on last night? What happened?
Oh, all day yesterday. Went to the Air Force Wyoming game, and it was a long day.
Yeah, it was a game.
It was a long day.
Well, how are you feeling now? Are you just tired now, or what?
Just typical. Don't feel like drinking. I know that. Ready to watch football. Have a nice, relaxing day.
Jim,
speaking of, I just want to give a shout out to my boys. Air Force. I got.
All right, what's up? Oh, not us. Not these boys. Oh.
No, my boys, my Falcons, man, they put it on Wyoming. Listen, what a great game. Took a 58-yard touchdown run, and then the defense held for Air Force to win the game. But it's looking like number 21 in the nation. Air Force Academy, boys, number 20.
Damn time. I
6-0.
thought they might have got a sniff last week, but they didn't. I thought they might come in at 25.
Good for them, boys.
That's freaking awesome.
Oh, man. I was going to tell you, Jim, I know a beer doesn't sound good, but, man, if you could just choke down a couple, it's all downhill from there, man.
It's going to make you feel
All
so
downhill
much
from
better.
there.
Especially if you, dude, if you just watch the London game or whatever games in Europe next week, just commit yourself to being awake and ready to go by that game.
Yeah, that's a little early for me, but hey, so anyway, guys, let's nice job on all the topics. I love the debate. Let's do some curtain calls. Who's got one?
I got one real quick, and this is most people wouldn't even know that this is, but so yesterday I watched an FCS game, and people that don't know, North Dakota State University has won like 9 FCS championships.
Oh,
I mean,
my.
they're a juggernaut.
Yep.
So North Dakota. So this is a big rivalry game in that state. North Dakota goes in, and well, NDSU came to North Dakota, but beat the living bejesus out of NDSU, and it was a game that I couldn't turn off. The offensive line for North Dakota completely blew me away. I mean, dominated the line of scrimmage the entire game. And North Dakota hasn't beat NDSU, North Dakota State, in 2 decades. And after the game, everybody in the stands is on the field, had a ton of fan support. So you know what? When you can knock off that juggernaut of a team at the FCS level and you haven't beat them in 2 decades, the Fighting Hawks, North Dakota, you're my curtain call. Cheers to you, man. That was a great game to watch.
Cheers. Nice.
Cheers.
Who else?
God, I hate to feel like I've got a crush or anything. I might have a little bit of one, but I'm going to give it up to nobody other than Bryce Harper, man. I love the fact that he went up against a juggernaut of a team in Atlanta. I love the fact that he heard the shit talking coming from Arcia. And I love even more the fact that not once, but twice on his trip around, hitting 2 homers in that game, he stared down Arcia. And if I'm not mistaken, Arcia didn't want any part of it, man. There was crickets. He had nothing to say. I think he was looking at his glove, maybe stopped down to tie his shoe. He didn't want to look back at Bryce even a little bit. So good for Bryce, man. It's good that he went in there and brought the thunder. And I think Philly's going to be a tough out going forward, man. So cheers to
Big
Bryce
time.
Harper. Hell of a series.
Cheers. What you got, Ty?
Mine goes out to Steve Smith Jr.
Attaboy.
Or senior. No. I'm sorry.
Senior.
Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah.
I hope if anybody's still with us at this juncture of our podcast, that they go and look at what Steve Smith Sr. said about Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy. Yes, sir.
Oh my God, dude. Steve
Just
Smith
tore and fuego.
Lit his ass up. And then
Yes,
was
sir.
pulling his microphones off and shit, right? And was like, and that's all I got to say about that. He's working for whatever it was, whether it was Fox or CBS or who the fuck ever. He works for somebody, and somebody gave him a mic. It's not much different than what we're doing.
Right.
It's true.
And he went
Say whatever the fuck you want.
off on him.
Except none of us are Hall of Fame receivers. I just want to be clear about that. So
yeah, it was
And a beast.
yeah,
dude,
and a beast, and
yeah,
a beast,
and a monster, right?
Yeah.
Like,
What do you call him? What do you call him? A jag, right? Just another guy.
Just another guy, right?
Just another guy.
Yeah, dude, just another guy. And Steve Smith started pulling all his microphones off, slammed, and that's all I got to say about that. And they were like,
how do you
That's a
not love it?
WWE move.
right? Everybody
That's a
went,
WWE
"Oh,
move."
shit."
I know it. What do you say, man? You're just like, damn. Yeah.
And right, and what's Jerry Jeudy gonna say? Steve
Well,
Smith Sr. talks that shit, but it's because he walked it his whole career.
Right.
That is a
Right.
guy that
right.
talked the
Jerry
most shit
Jeudy
and walked
deserved
the most
every
shit.
bit of that.
So I feel
Jerry
like
Jeudy deserved
yeah.
every bit of it.
I feel
No,
like-
Jerry Jeudy ain't gonna do a damn thing.
I
Because
feel like it's time for-
dude, right?
it-
Though, and if Steve
it's
Smith
time for-
if Steve Smith Sr. eviscerated us and told us how bad we were at our own job, you would just go,
it's
Yeah.
soul searching time.
Yeah.
It's
that
time for,
sucks.
Jerry,
I shouldn't.
time for Jerry Jeudy to look in the mirror and do a little soul searching. It's
You're not
time
gonna
for
say shit back to him.
No, not at all.
So hey, yeah, that's good stuff, man. That was great. Steve Smith Sr. And you know what? He can say that shit because he did.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what
He
I'm
walked
saying.
it like he
He
talked.
earned it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. You
Hey,
walk
so
it like
mine-
that, and I think he still does. I think that's the thing. Is that
I think
if Jerry
he
Jeudy
does.
would have came out of the tunnel and said anything, I think
He
that's
wouldn't
why
have.
Steve Smith was ripping all his shit off.
He wouldn't have. Yeah, he wouldn't
I
have said
think
shit.
I actually I think that that Steve Smith probably still could do it. And more importantly, it sounds like he's got quite a bit of influence with people around the league that want to know about a receiver or what he thinks about a
of course.
certain receiver. It sounds like
Sure.
he's got a lot of influence with
Yeah.
that. So Jerry Jeudy should probably just shut his mouth, run better routes, catch fucking football, and make Steve Smith eat his words.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
you can do.
I agree. I agree.
So my curtain call goes to Tez Walker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
North-
dude.
North Carolina receiver that has battled the NCAA over transfers and eligibility and this and that. And he got into the game yesterday, his first game back. And of course, playing with Drake May doesn't hurt. Caught 3 touchdown passes. Good for you, kid. Way to thumb your nose at the NCAA. The shit should have never happened. Everybody that supported Tez and got him back on the field. That's also a curtain call to you. So
I do wish the NCAA could have held him out one more week because it was the Hurricanes that they beat. But
Yeah, that would have been.
no, you're right. The kid's a stud and he got jacked around. That's not okay.
No, it's not okay. The NCAA, man, I'll tell you, get it figured out, boys. Get it figured out. But so
Agreed.
that's the show for today. Thanks everybody for listening. Don't forget, you catch us on, email us. Let us know what you think, comment, any corrections on Gmail. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Cocktails and Curveballs, and check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and Spotify. Search us on Spotify. And if you don't want to look at these mugs, I get it. So you can listen to us instead. But on Spotify, Cocktails and Curveballs. I'd like to thank everybody listening. You're still around. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. And have a great week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.